broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Say it ain't so. Whoa, whoa.
We're on the song.
You don't know we're on the song?
No, now I know.
Oh.
Give me a moment. I was going to keep on singing.
No, it's okay. Welcome to the Hannibal AfterBuzz After Show. Say it ain't so.
Say it ain't so, guys.
As we all know, Hannibal's not been renewed by NBC.
And if you don't know, you just found out.
Those mother effers. We love our friends at NBC.
Yes, we do.
But
this was a poor choice.
But what do you do?
What do you do?
Looks like Hannibal may have some life. I think if if we know, Martha and Bryan, like we think we know them, which is barely at all. We're old friends. No, but we're fairly sure, and there's been a lot written about the possibility of them taking the show elsewhere. I mean, it's international production. Grammont is a production company. There's some. We'll talk about this in news and gossip, but Bryan's been very vocal about some potential options, and as has Martha. So we'll get into that a little later.
Yeah.
Maybe there'll be life after death.
Maybe, and there is also that petition going around, Save Hannibal. You can go on Twitter.
Right.
Absolutely.
# Save Hannibal.
Right. Well, speaking of life after death, that's a great segue into Apertivo, episode number 304 of Hannibal, or episode number 4 or 304, depending on how you want to look at it. This is the episode that sort of explains what happened after the end of the season finale of season 2, where everyone got dead.
They got dead real good.
Everyone got real dead real good, and so we see who survived and who didn't. Now we know definitively who survived and who didn't, which looks like everyone but Abigail. But Abigail.
Well, yeah.
We thought Abigail survived. That was a cool little bait and switch. The first person we saw was Abigail. We're like, oh, Abigail lived. Everyone else is dead. And now we know Abigail's dead and everyone else lived.
And everybody else lived.
So we'll get into that and what that means.
A little worse for wear, though.
A little worse for wear, yeah. Especially old Dr. Crapweasel himself. Too bad Flippo's not here. The return of the triumphant return of Dr. Crapweasel.
Hold on, who's Dr. Crapweasel? Is that Dr. Chilton?
Yes, that's what we called him for seasons 1 and 2. I think that was I think his full name was King High Fish. King High Shit Crapweasel or something. I forget.
Something like that.
Something very Joe Flippo.
It was detailed and very familiar.
By the way, we should say that I'm Joe Braswell, if you don't know who I am. Check out hello to everyone who's streaming us live on the East Coast feed. Hello. And I'm joined, as always, by the lovely duo Kaissi.
Hi, welcome everybody.
And also by the equally lovely Julia Cearley.
Oh, well, thank you. Hello, everybody.
And as you can see, we're not joined by the lovely Joe Sanfilippo, because as we teased last week, he was having a baby.
Yep.
Because he's joined by his baby.
He wasn't having a baby. His wife was having a baby. He was having a baby as we were doing our show.
Yes, literally.
So he has a lovely little girl who's an addition to their family. So congratulations to Joe Flippo.
She's very cute.
And she's adorable.
He's all girls now, right? No boys?
Oh, yes.
He's all girl, just like me. All girls.
Just like you.
This is what we do. It's our punishment for being such wonderful guys.
That's it.
I don't know what that means.
Being surrounded by a lot of ladies is not bad.
It could be so much worse.
Yes. Well, present company included.
Yeah. Okay, there you go.
There you go. Well,
good work.
No jokes. Okay, so let's get into this episode. Apertivo, as I said earlier, a little quick question for you. How do you record this week's episode of Hannibal? On your Apertivo.
Ayo.
Joe Braswell. Jokes.
Yes. You can rewind and fast forward in the Apertivo and pause in real time. All right. Thank you. It's really, I don't know. I gotta lighten up the mood. The show's, you know, we got some cancellation news. Okay, so this episode is, you know, like we spent these last 4. I really sort of admire and very interested in the way they've chosen to tell this story. Bryan Fuller sort of to like tell this story in a very sort of I don't say deconstructed way, but like I said, we had this cliffhanger, like a big, pretty, you know, bloodbath of a cliffhanger in season 2, and then it's like, what happens? And the first thing we see is not, you know, normally you think you would see what happened, that we would pick up where we left off, but no, we see Hannibal and Dr. Bedelia off in Europe doing their thing. So it's like, oh, well, what about it? Where's all the bloody people on the floor? So that was an interesting way to sort of get us back into Hannibal. And then episode 2, we see Will, and we kind of get his backstory, and we see Will, and then and Abigail, or so we thought, and so we get going on there, and a little bit of hint of Jack. Well, no, it's episode 3 we get Jack, and then now we get to find out what happened to everyone else, very specifically.
Sweeping up the floor.
Yes.
Because so
Mopping up the blood.
Let's start
Mopping up the blood.
let's start with Dr. Crapweasel, because he got shot in the face.
Sure did.
And, you know, we were like, how? Because he's in the books, he's alive, but how do you get shot in the face and make it out?
I was so certain. He was one of the ones I was so certain didn't make it out. I'm usually pretty like, oh, no, guys. Just wait. Just wait. I didn't see a body. There's no way. But that shot to the face was like, dude, Flippo, he's totally dead. Like,
Shot
we fought
to the
about
face.
it. We fought about it a
Good
little
thing
bit.
you didn't bet. You'd be wearing a yellow
I'd be wearing
blouse.
a yellow blouse, too.
And I love the way they showed that too, how they actually showed the bullet penetrating
Oh,
and like
gross.
where it went. And it's graphic, but they make it so artistic. It's not like you have to turn your head from the screen. You can actually watch it because it's visually stunning.
It's visually stunning. And
Well, I like how they did that with every character. You know, they really showed the medicine behind each injury for each person who had a fateful evening that night.
Oh, the medicine you're calling it.
Well, yes.
The medicine.
We saw some
that's so
like
lovely.
skeletal breaks. We're
Right.
getting clinical about it.
Sure, I love it.
Surgery action. That's medicine.
It's, you know, we did see we did see exactly what happened to Dr. Shelton, and this episode was not directed by our guy Vincenzo. It was directed by Mark Jobst. But he's still using the same visual language that was used in episode 1 through 3, which is of course set up is so great in the pilot and in seasons 1 and a little bit in 2 by David Slade and Bryan Fuller. This sort of this visual language we know of Hannibal, which is sort of like this slow motion and close ups and sort of this surreal. Surrealist view of what's happening with these murders and the food and everything else, and so we got more of that. I don't know, is it me, and I'm not complaining, but is the show getting more and more graphic? It's pretty graphic. Well, I mean, I know it's a news flash after the guy who saw Cello Neck in season 2, but I mean, I don't know, like.
This was pretty clinical and graphic.
Okay.
I believe.
I think, but I like it that way. I think that if you start a show, first of all, I'm shocked by the fact that it's so graphic and on NBC. I would think that it would be a little bit more tame. I think they're really kind of going for it. But if you start a show with so graphic, you really have nowhere to go. If you kind of start it, you know, a little bit less graphic, and then you kind of can raise and raise and raise. It's like, where do you go once you hit that point where it's just so graphic you can't, like, how do you shock people, or how do you take it to the next level?
I mean, that's probably the the laziest take of all time. Hannibal's graphic, you know, like what a hot take, Joe Braswell. But I don't know, you know, it was shocking. So yeah, the bullet through the thing, and then you saw the teeth, and then the back, and then the explosion out of the back of the head.
I like that we're seeing the process of the injuries, because before we would see, right before he would kill someone, maybe a little bit of the chase, and then we'd see the aftermath of what he built them into, and then how he's cooking them. We never actually saw the specifics. Maybe that's a morbid thing to enjoy for me, but I like to see it broken down.
Oh, he was broken down, all right.
Because everything he did was very specific.
Right. They're very, very specific. Well, this is the thing that was interesting. Like, it just makes you wonder, and this couldn't possibly be the case. But we talked about how, you know, he knew exactly where to cut Will and knew exactly what to do.
So he wouldn't die.
He couldn't possibly know exactly where and how to shoot. It wasn't his intention to leave.
He didn't shoot her. Shoot
I mean,
him.
no, I'm sorry, it wasn't Chilton. Okay, never mind. Who? That was
the FBI agent who had been kidnapped.
That's right. Okay, thank you
name
very
I forget.
much. No, I was going to say, that was not. You're right. I got confused there. Okay,
that's right.
So he lives. So Chilton's bumping around on this mission, if you will, to sort of like recruit everyone. Like
He's building an army.
yeah,
he's
it's like
amassing an army,
the Magnificent Seven or the Dirty Dozen or something. Like he's going around like a Tarantino movie, finding each bounty hunter or whatever he needs to go get Hannibal, which is kind of cool.
Bad news bears.
And I love how he shows up with these beautiful hydrangeas every time. The hydrangeas is like his key, but which he had in almost every scene.
Ooh, I wonder what that means. I bet that there's something behind that. I should have looked that up.
Probably.
I also
Not about that. I should look it up,
at
though.
Bella's funeral. There was hydrangeas everywhere as well. So I don't know if that was. I don't know if that's just
Interesting. Yeah,
the
if anybody's
production designer's favorite flower, or if it has some specific meaning. I don't know, but I know that was there.
If you're watching online, feel free to write in.
Yeah, I'm having some internet issues, so I can't even connect to our folks who are watching us online and streaming live. So I apologize for that, but we will catch up with you guys shortly. So he goes around and we see him first talking to Mason Verger, and we get our first look at Joe Anderson as Mason Verger. Not quite the same as your boy Michael Pitt, who we love, and who did a great job, great maniacal, very icky performance, a creepy performance, and
I'm eating myself.
I'm eating myself.
Loved him so much. He's one of my favorites.
But Joe Anderson seems to be doing pretty good,
Yeah.
and it's actually a really cool thing. I wonder if this is intentional to be able to. I mean, because there's so much makeup and it's so much, he's so unrecognizable, in this fully eaten, scarred face, that technically it could be anyone. He's got the voice down. He's got the spiky hair.
The hair.
So I mean, it seems about right. None of that really seems out of place to me. But I want to talk about the scene when we first see them together, where he says, like, you show me your face, I'll show you mine. It was sort of very much, there's something very sort of like almost seductive about that back and forth. Like, okay, I'll take out my contact. I'll take off my mask.
Well, even that phrase, that phrase, you show me mine, I'll show you yours, comes from, like, that has a lot of sexual connotation to it.
I don't get it. Good.
I was going to say, I'll show you later.
Right, hey, I'll show you mine. Hey-o. No. But yeah, what did you guys make of that scene? Was it like...
Well, I like the fact that it was very seductive. He's in bed, for starters,
right.
And then you have, everything as far as the set design is very dark, very seductive.
Right.
And the whole, the mural that's behind him, what you might think the show is graphic, you might like the show, you might not like the show, but regardless, it is visually stunning.
Sure.
All the time, and I always feel entertained visually. But yeah, it was almost like it's like some type of odd standoff or power struggle in those moments. A lot of non-written dialogue, if you will.
What's interesting? Go ahead.
Sorry, what I found to be interesting when the finale of season 2, right before Hannibal. Or maybe right after he stabbed Will, he said something to the effect of, do you believe you could change me the way I changed you? And Will retorted with, I already have. But what I'm enjoying in this episode is seeing how all the victims of that night, of Hannibal, how they've changed. And I really think that opening scene, set the tone of who these people have become with the taking off of the masks and the taking off of the airs.
Right.
And then revealing what
they've become.
Their motivation is now, and how they've all been touched, and how everything has changed.
Sure,
that's good.
And by the way, Crap Weasel not looking so good. That
was a really cool effect with the droopy eye.
Yeah, the droopy eye.
The thingamabob.
That's a huge piece of metal in his face that's keeping his eye socket up.
Yeah. Ew. Ooh. So that was interesting. And so we like Joe Anderson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
I like his voice.
Done a good job.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Except when he's drooling all over himself.
Oh, that's when he's the hottest possible.
Yes. Yeah. When she said that, sometimes some people find it hard to talk to him if you if you're having trouble. I'll talk to him. I felt like he's going to say gross stuff to him. Like, oh yeah, he might do stuff like that.
He did say a couple gross things.
And what was the thing with the chocolate?
Well, if you remember, there was some bit last season he did, and I can't remember.
They were doing a tour with some orphans or something like that.
I don't know.
And then he's sort of like mentally briefly, very briefly, like sort of like mentally tortured this little girl about why she was an orphan, something like that, and then offered her a chocolate. I can't remember specifically.
Someone Lime Streamer, Nefertiti, Molina, Chris Miller, help us out on this. What was the deal with the chocolate?
Don't
I know
take
you guys
chocolate
know. from Mason Verger.
Verger.
Yes. So anyway, so we saw that, and then we had that nice exchange from them, and then we know that there's a price on Hannibal's head for $1 million, and Dr. Crapweasel is there, very, very interested. Seems to have a dual. He has a dual meaning, dual reason for wanting Hannibal. He really, really, really wants Hannibal in his care, if you will. He really wants Hannibal in his care, as we know from Red Dragon and Silence of the Lambs. That's exactly where he ends up, but. He wants him in his care, and he wants to be able to capitalize on Hannibal because he's already trademarked Hannibal to Cannibal. He's ready to write this book. He's ready, so it's a weird thing. Like he doesn't want revenge on him like everyone else does, like to take him out and kill him per se. Or maybe he does, but he definitely wants him institutionalized for him. And I think that's the motivation, right? Like he wants him in his institution. What is Chilton's motivation here? Obviously, it's profit, but it's profit and revenge, or is it profit motivated? It's definitely not science. So is it profit or is it revenge?
There's also a little ego involved. Who was it that said no? I think Bloom said he didn't want you. Obviously, he didn't want you, and he wanted him so badly. He wanted to be him and be like him. First, he wanted to be besties.
Are you saying that down, underneath everything, it's almost like a jealousy thing? Like, I want to be the one that wins. I want to, not only do I want to capture you, I want to capitalize on who you are and then be envious because I'm not as cool as you.
Right. I mean, it's very cool that we get this sort of backstory on Chilton because we see him in Red Dragon and Silence of the Lambs as that's Crapweasel Ben, even in the movies. But, he's also very smarmy and the same guy, but he's also wrote the books and capitalized on Hannibal. But now we see this sort of stuff that led up to that. I think it's kind of cool to see, the full Crapweasel.
It's sort of like if you're not going to love me. It's sort of like if you're not going to love me, I'm not going to let you love anybody else, and I'm going to keep you all to myself and lock you away and not let you have any contact, and you'll be mine, all mine.
Huh.
He's like a crazy ex-boyfriend.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was equating that to in my head.
And ex-girlfriends don't do that because women are perfect. So there's that, and then the next thing we see is we get to back to Will, and we get to see sort of Will in this other moment where he's really struggling, like he's sort of fantasizing, if you will, about what would happen if, we're getting into more where Will's head was, because towards the end of episode 10 and episode 13, in season 2, 213, you don't really know where Will's going with this. Like, he warns Hannibal just like Hobbs did. Just like Hannibal did to Hobbs in the pilot.
In the very first episode.
They know, and so he warns them. He's sitting there, like he has this invitation to go away. There's this potential for family with him and Abigail and Will and Hannibal are very much, in love, if you will. And Will, betrays Hannibal, but yet doesn't betray him all the way because he lets them know they're coming for him, which in turn maybe costs everyone almost their lives, including Will and Abigail.
Well, I love that conversation that he was having with Jack in that flashback when he was working on, I guess, the boat, about when did you make the decision to tell him. Right. And he says, I didn't make the decision. It was compulsive. I called him and I debated while the phone was ringing, and then I didn't know what I was going to do until he picked up.
Which I liked, his complete honesty. And and then he still went for it. Yeah. He's like, well, why? Is it because I wanted him to get away?
I wanted to go with him.
And I was like, oh, I want to get away. That's not so bad. He goes, and I wanted to go with him.
Because he was my friend.
Yeah, because he's my friend. And I was like, okay. And I wanted him to get away. Okay. And I want to go with him. Just like, whoa. Wait a minute. Whoa. You have to go with him.
Too far.
Too far, Will. Go ahead.
We were wondering when we saw Will in the beginning of in the episode 2 of this season, what happened in those 8 months, and now we're seeing him vacillating and sort of formulating a plan and coming to terms with what happened to him and what he wants.
I don't know. Like, this is what I want to talk about that in a second, but I do want to just, before I get to that thing, I do want to touch on that weird fantasy moment he had of like an alternate reality where at that dinner where they all were together, that Will and Hannibal just let Jack have it, slit the throat, and Will holds him down, and Hannibal does the business, and they high five, and
they skip off into the outside.
They grab Abigail, and they're off to Europe together. What a life that would have been.
Wouldn't have been, yes.
Maybe regretfully, Will didn't choose that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still thinking about it. Now, are we led to believe that that's where he was early days in this middle of this 8 months in this flashback, or are we led to believe that's where he is now? Because what I feel like what we're getting at is during this 8 months, Will has had all these doubts and all this time to think about it and where he's coming from, and these things have happened along this 8 months. And I think he's come to the conclusion that I've got to take Hannibal down, and I'm going to get Hannibal and bring him to justice. I think that's where he is now. I believe his hunt for Hannibal is genuinely a hunt for Hannibal. Like he's there to take him down. And Jack's there to follow him, and Alana's there to follow Jack, and Clinton and Verger will follow them all. But I think that we were led to believe in episodes 2 and 3 that we didn't know quite what Will's motivations are. Like, is he going to embrace Hannibal when he sees him? Is he going to beg for forgiveness? Is he going to try to kill him?
I don't even think he knows.
I think he knows now. I guess this is what I'm positing. I'm positing that I think that he's there for a specific reason. I think that all of those questions he had to ask himself happened during that 8 months. And I feel like he came to a conclusion, and now he's off to go do the deal. This is what I think. I don't know.
Another option is that possibly he's seeing all these people who have been changed and touched by Hannibal over these last 8 months, sort of amassing this army and bonding together and sharing ideas and leads. Maybe he wants to be the first one to get to him to tip him off that they're all coming for you.
Oh, that's another, wow. Nice alternate theory, Jules.
I like that.
I like it too.
There's just a part of me that really sees Will and Hannibal as the same person in like a lot of what I just feel like they're just, they're so intertwined, either, not emotionally, they have so many similarities that, I like that. I like that I could see him going to kind of like take Hannibal and bring him in, but I just don't think I think that once he saw him and was face to face with him, he couldn't do that. They have too much of a connection.
Well, there is a lot of that's kind of a lot of what season 2 is about, really. To the whole two sides of the same coin, and
we even had that scene where their faces merged together. And you couldn't tell who was who.
So I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. And so we have that great scene with Jack and Will, and then we also had this scene where Chilton shows up. We also see what really happened, where when Will emerged from his slicing open, bed, and in episode 2 we saw Abigail came in and said those things like he knew just where to cut us, he wanted us to live, that conversation, and we see now it was actually really Chilton who had that conversation with. That was kind of well known when they saw it. He's kind of blurry. We saw a little bit of Abigail, and then we see Dr. Chilton, with of course the hydrangeas in hand, and so that conversation continued, and I don't know. I mean, do you think what Chilton is saying to Will is resonating with Will, or is he really just sort of blowing him off entirely?
I would go along with blowing off entirely.
Right.
The whole, I literally feel your pain. We were both accused, and we went through the same exact thing. I think he's like, bullshit. We did not go nearly through the same thing, dude. You don't even know, bro.
Yeah, you were in love with Lecter like I was.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a shame for Chilton because Will would be the perfect guy for him. He's exactly the person that he wants on his team,
right?
And exactly the person that he needs to capture Hannibal. But I don't even think that he wants to hear what he has to say.
Well, as we talked about, I really think that what ultimately is happening is Will either whether Will likes it or not, he's going to lead Chilton and Verger to Hannibal. So we'll see how that works out.
Are you saying unintentional, like Chilton's just going to follow Will and Will will eventually lead him to Hannibal?
I think Jack's going to follow Will, Bloom's going to follow Jack, and Jack's going to tip off Chilton and Verger, and they're all going to end up there in a big posse. We'll
ready for a rumble?
Ready for a rumble,
rumble in the streets of Florence.
Like
Ding dong.
Oh, my internet's back up. Wonderful. So now I can find out. I'm looking for the chocolate. Someone talk. Say something.
Somebody say something.
You guys talk.
So Jack killed his wife.
Jack killed Bella.
Why did Jack kill Bella? Like, was he putting her out of her misery? Was there a conversation that was had that I missed about, like, if I ever get to a point, I want you to take me out?
Well, I have two things that I'm thinking about this. First of all, Bella tried to kill herself last season, and Hannibal brought her back. So perhaps that is her deepest wish. But an interesting thing, the last thing she said to him before we saw that scene, their next scene together, where he did administer, I'm assuming morphine or God knows what, that you can cut out what's killing you. And I'm wondering if her slow death is killing him. And it's stopping him from moving forward and getting ish done with Hannibal.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't disagree with that. I want to say too, and I'll go back. It's good to see Jenna Torres back, the real life wife of Lawrence Fishburne. It was always good to see her because she does wonderful work every time we see her, even in these short scenes. We did get to see Jack, like what happened to Jack. You know, before I just want to talk about, we used to see that scene where Jack had the glass or the thing in his neck, and he called Bella, which is the last thing we saw in season 2, and he's dead. And also the first thing we saw in the season 2 opener. Remember that it opened with that fight?
Yes.
And then it ended with that fight with Jack, presumably dead. He left that in, and I just want to say, I think the scenes with Bella and Jack are just beautiful. They've always been like beautiful and heartbreaking, and again, I want to see if we can string together all those scenes with Jack and Bella from all the seasons into this sort of like beautiful like one act play, or like not one act play, but this sort of like its own, that relationship as we see it through the pain, the ups and downs, the cancer, the sticking together, all the way up through her death.
Did she have an affair too?
No, she didn't. No, I don't think.
Did I make that up?
Well, he thought that she was having an affair, and then it was actually cancer.
Right.
But how he came to that realization was so beautiful, because it's kind of like what makes a real marriage. He heard something that somebody else was saying, and all of her behaviors, which he thought was infidelity, just kind of clicked that she was keeping from him that she had the cancer, and then that conversation was just so beautiful.
That's right.
Yeah, and so
good work.
So the fact that like he called her and he really he was okay with dying, and the way they personified that with having some of the blood go up in slow motion, almost rising, as if like he's leaving this this earth. And then obviously he called her, and she, whatever. We're assuming that she called the police and he made it. But that they were like in that hospital together, holding hands. The last thing he was holding was the phone. He wakes up, he's holding her hand, and it was just very touching. And the things she was saying, like she said, don't.
For once your stubbornness is working out, or like for once I'm happy that you're stubborn. It was very cute.
I like that.
Yeah, it was just really, really, and he was explaining like, look, I thought I could leave you. I wonder if I can hear your voice, I can leave you. And she said, stop trying to put yourself on the ground with me, or something. What she said, is that what she said?
Yes.
Like all that stuff was like heartbreaking, heart-wrenching, but also beautiful and sweet, right? And then the bit where she says, which kind of, this is where I think that she got him with the I'm gonna go get Hannibal, is I can't cut out what's in me, but you can cut out what's in you. In other words,
killing you.
Yeah, basically, I can't cut out what's killing me. You can cut out what's killing you. And so
then he kills her. It's like, oh.
Wait a second. Oh, boom. I said, was he talking about her?
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
Oh, you said that.
I just said that.
I was too busy in my own head thinking like she was talking about Hannibal this whole time.
But well, the thing is, it's however you want to perceive it. So then he kills her because it was, and Julia brought up this point, and it was just beautiful that what's killing him is watching his wife die.
Right.
And
exactly.
that is what, like, he can't, like, he's really in this stagnant place. He can't move forward. He can't go backwards. He's just like, so just he ripped off the Band-Aid.
And everything about her death and the slow death, this realization of cancer, is wrapped up in a nice, pretty little bow of Hannibal, because he sort of manipulated all of it and all of their feelings through it, down to her trying to kill him, trying to kill herself in front of him, him letting it happen and then bringing her back,
right,
to helping having her reveal it to Hannibal, to her therapy sessions with to Jack. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's all intertwined.
I'm telling you, all that sub storyline was just, I think it's just beautifully written and just beautiful.
It was my favorite part of the episode. I think that storyline was my favorite part of this particular episode.
Right. I enjoy it throughout the series, but it's also particularly good this episode as well.
It definitely played in reality, where a lot of stuff in this show plays in a surreal sort of world as well. This hit home.
Oh, that's a really good point, because when you take something like a disease like cancer, all of a sudden it becomes very real. And so it kind of like, it has like, and a point where you can kind of, And for a show that does a lot of death and a lot of death scenes and a lot of people dying, a lot of people killed in very brutal ways, and then sort of been beautifully prepared, with his food. I thought that the Bella's death scene was also it was strangely beautiful. It was really sort of touching, and the way he held her and all that stuff was really, really touching. And then, even though I didn't really need to see this, but her, getting sort of prepared for the wake, all that stuff, the lipstick and the dress and all that stuff, those close-ups there, getting chilling. I mean, I'll take it over Hannibal slicing open an abdomen or an arm, but it's still it's kind of what we're used to seeing in this show, but done in a sort of a different and tasteful way, and really sort of respecting
it's
death.
It's also relatable feelings. I mean, most of us aren't crazy psychopaths who fantasize about, eating people and killing them and setting them up in these crazy, intricate ways.
Right.
This happens all the time.
Beautiful.
To regular
Hannibal
people.
Also left a note at now, was that the actual funeral? Because I
don't know if it was a funeral, if it was
just
a wake.
The viewing before a funeral.
The viewing,
Not
okay.
the wake. I don't know, the viewing. I mean, I don't know. But Hannibal and his impeccable handwriting, the very cultured, beautiful Hannibal and all that handwriting, he lets a note, which also I think really got Jack going.
That felt so invasive to me.
Really?
That really did not sit
Sorry for your
well
loss,
with me.
Jack.
I don't think it sat well with Jack either. Did you see the way that he grabbed the card and almost
Yeah, it definitely did not sit well.
It was just a small little nuance thing, but...
I want to. We'll get back to that in a second. I want to also thank you guys again for watching us on iTunes and watching us live streaming us again here right now, and watching us on iTunes, listening on iTunes, watching on YouTube, and live streaming us. We really appreciate it here at AfterBuzz, and we also want to remind you again. We've been talking about this show coming up. It's this great special that our CEO and founder Maria Munoz is hosting with her good friend Juliana Hough. I never said it right. Huff. Juliana Huff. I can never say it right.
The Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah. So Juliana.
So they're producing this, right?
Right. Juliana, they're co-producers. They're hosting the show, and they're producing it. It's Dance Battle America. It's this cool thing, sort of like that started with Maria and Juliana did it over the holidays, and they'd post these things back and forth, and they got kind of viral and cool. And now we're doing this. We now. Juliana, Maria, and I decided. Listen, they're doing this show where basically anyone in America, the average person, could send in your dance videos, and then we can have this sort of dance battle. And this is happening right now. I mean, you can send your stuff to dancebattleamericacasting.com, dancebattleamericacasting.com. Send your videos, and
you don't have to be like a crazy professional dancer like Julianne Hough is. They just want you feel it, get creative, have fun.
Did I say? Wait, they're producing. I said they're hosting. They're producing.
I think they're producing.
They're 100% producing.
Yeah, I know they're producing. I don't think they're hosting.
But they're not hosting for sure. So I'm sorry if I said that. And then what else did I need to say? That's it.
Joe's going to get his old school VHS videotape of his dancing out, and
I'm going to get my. It's so good.
It's good. I'm going to submit
on the floor of his high school gym.
My old school. Me doing Bobby Brown, Running Man.
There's a touch.
So you'll see what happens.
The Kid and Play. Remember that?
Yeah, I do. Sadly, and I was very good at it. Anyway, so that's that. So check it out, Dance Battle America, and check it out. Submit your videos to dancebattleamericacasting.com. Submit your videos. That's all I got. And what else?
Hannibal.
Where were we? Hannibal. That's what we're doing the show.
It's a great segue.
Let's dance our way back over to Hannibal.
Do a little soft shoe.
Shuffle off the buffalo.
So let's get into my favorite, one of my favorite women on the show is Dr. Lana Bloom. It's no secret that I'm a big fan.
Julia was really sad that she wasn't paralyzed.
Sorry.
And I was really sad that
he started the show. She's so paralyzed, man. She's so paralyzed.
I was having a very odd moment when she was sort of all broken boned and pent up, but I was like, oh, she's so hot. She's like
another example of a great artistic shot. Like the ceilings were really high. It was like, when do you go to a hospital and your hips are in place like that?
It was the most serene, lovely, heaven-like hospital I have ever
Caroline
seen.
Duvarnis. We do this too.
Yeah. I'm not going to try it.
I know. But when we interviewed her.
We did. She was lovely.
She's lovely.
She's even prettier in person.
She was flirting with me
Caroline?
so hard. No, not Caroline. It's that's the one who I love so much. Oh my God.
Blanking.
I'm blanking too.
I'll look it up. Keep talking. Oh, no.
That's my cricket noise.
That's really good. Keep talking.
Anyway, whatever her name is, I love her so much.
Caroline Davernos.
Oh, I had it right.
It's Caroline.
Caroline.
Caroline Davernos.
Oh, okay, Caroline Davernos.
It's Caroline because she's like French Canadian, right?
Yes, she is.
Caroline.
Caroline, sorry.
All right, sorry, Davernos. I hope
I
you
just
still love
panicked.
me.
I thought we had the wrong name completely.
All right, anyway,
back to better.
Anyway,
All right.
she was flirting with me. Anyway, it was good to see her back in my world.
His world.
It's good to see her back. We thought she'd be paralyzed. She was not paralyzed.
She was not.
But broke a lot of bones. And seems to be very, very. It seems to be now when Dr. Chilton came calling with the hydrangeas to her, she's listening. Mm-hmm. She's like, F Hannibal. You know, this mother effer.
Let me put on my red coat. I'll be right over.
Yeah, she's right
And then sweep up and updo.
Yeah. So I mean,
First and foremost.
so your take? So she bought into Chilton, and then she went to, as part of her agreeing with Chilton, she went to Verger as a part of. I mean, explain. How did this? Do you know how this whole thing worked? Was it Chilton came and gave her the rap, and she's like, "Let's do this," and then she went to Verger. Like, how does this work?
Verger fired, in essence, Chilton.
Right.
He released him of his psychiatric services, which is really what he was technically supposed to be doing. So now his new psychiatrist is Alana Bloom.
Got it. That makes sense.
I like how she gets to that huge mansion with the horses, and then she's like, "Can you tell him I'm here?" And they're like, "Oh, he knows."
Oh,
Yeah.
he does.
Dun dun dun.
She was pretty sinister. She was pretty dark. I will say though, she said when she was had all those pins in her, the doctor said a lot of bone marrow got into her blood and she was thinking differently.
Yeah.
So that could be an influence of why she's a little crazy, focused, and vengeful.
That's an astute observation. That is exactly right. Yeah.
It was good to see old Margot.
Oh yeah, she's looking good.
Yeah, it's always fun to see Margot.
Yeah, we love Margot.
The chocolate, we kind of got half-assed. It was like, remember he collected tears, and he almost gave the chocolate, and then he withheld the chocolate to get the kid to cry, and he collected the tears. Is that the deal?
I don't remember.
The chocolate?
Really,
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
All right.
I have to
think that's what they were saying.
go back and look.
Thank you, Tyler. Davarnes is more like Davarnes. Tyler says online. Anyway, so that was interesting. So we got that, and we also get to see what happened with Mason and his sort of skin graft reconstruction from the face and like
the medicine.
The medicine, yes, and we got to see him get the massage by his
by Cordell,
the orderly / henchman.
Yeah, talk about sinister. Cordell's pretty sinister.
Yeah, Cordell's like, whatever you need, buddy. He's like, oh, can you massage my face? And by the way, I need to prepare Hannibal to be eaten alive. He's like, how you want him?
Yeah.
It's like, no problem. Like,
Totally
hold on,
cool
let me
with
massage
it.
this cheekbone. How do you want him? I mean,
I liked his analogy of scar tissue being a person's self-preservation,
Right.
form of self-preservation, and now all of them are covered in scars.
right.
And we see every scar in this episode.
We gotta start wrapping up soon here, but I want to just draw this all together. So Jack had the conversation with Crap Weasel as well, but the conversation with Jack and Alana Bloom was telling when he's talking about looking out the window. I was hoping things would be different. And the conversation he had with Will. The conversation with Alana saying Will knows what he has to do. I mean, it's all subtext there, but like I said, I'm getting the impression that Jack is going after. I mean, I don't know if Jack's going after Hannibal or Jack's going after Will. I get the impression. I know I said this earlier. Jack's going after Will, but I think Jack's going after Hannibal as well.
Jack does not want Will to go after Hannibal, so I don't think that Jack would go after Hannibal.
I don't know. I think Jack's pretty pissed about Hannibal. I think Jack is now that Bella's gone. Jack, I'm changing my. This is getting. Well, I'll save that for predictions. We're gonna get that second. Anything else in this episode we want to miss before we get into news and notes predictions? Because we get out of here.
Taste is the constant. I really liked that.
Taste is the constant.
That was a really cool thing, and it's sort of been a constant throughout this entire series.
Yes.
That is the constant. That's how they're going to find him.
Also, very little Hannibal, very little actual Hannibal in this episode. You know, we saw him writing, we saw his wonderful penmanship, writing the letter, and then we saw some flashbacks, and that was it. Okay, just quick news and gossip, but not news and gossip, very quick. So, as we know, Hannibal's been not renewed by NBC, but on Deadline.com, Bryan Fuller did an interview talking about the possibility of this thing coming back on Amazon, which makes a whole lot of sense because Amazon's been. I think it's. Excuse me. I think streaming services are like a great way to go because they have a crap load of Netflix or Amazon. Or
you're not worried about time.
Well, they have a crap load of money, is what it is. Like Netflix and Amazon particularly have money to throw out these things. Probably more money than Hannibal's seen in production thus far, and so it would be great to see season 4 with even more money for production that they have, and also more less freedom.
Yeah, less restrictions.
You know, I mean, not that.
No censorship.
Yeah. So they talk about that. No, Bryan Fuller is very conservative about this. He says probably 50-50 this would come back because he's committed to do this other adaptation of this thing. I forget what it's called. Something Gods. It's this great book, but like he's doing that for Stars. So I think he's sort of saying that there's a lot of balls in the air in terms of the Stars commitment versus what Amazon would want, but they definitely want this to happen.
But there's still so much story here. I mean, let me just get this straight. I mean, season 3 was definitely in the can before they found everything was done. So when season 3 ends, like however they had it end, it could probably end on like a huge cliffhanger.
It could, yeah.
Well, he said he has a whole arc. How many season arcs?
I think it started at 7. Now it's 5. Now it's kind of he said 5.
I thought it was 7. Okay.
Yeah.
So
no, he said 7 in season 1.
He has it all planned out. I really want him to fulfill his vision.
But I think he said it now. It's 5 because I think it's because we're getting into Red Dragon in season 3.
Yes.
So we're going to get into Red Dragon in the back half of the season. We'll get into Red Dragon, which means season 4 and 5 maybe we'll get into Hannibal and Silence of the Lambs if we're allowed to because they don't own the rights to that. Blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so we'll see. But he says 50-50 chance. I like that. I love the idea. Hannibal, Amazon already streams exclusively Hannibal season 1 and 2 and 3. So Hannibal doing a new version. I mean, Amazon doing a new version of Hannibal seems to make too much sense. Yeah. Makes a whole lot of sense. But we'll see. People smarter than us will make those decisions. So hopefully,
save Hannibal.
Hopefully that'll happen. Also tonight is the Saturn Awards, which is the sort of the sci-fi science fiction awards, which I attended last year. I'm not attending this year. I'll put up the old pictures of Bryan and I because Bryan and Hannibal won a bunch of awards. I got the whole Bryan Saturn Awards.
Great picture. Yeah, post that.
So I'll post that as well for the Red Thursday.
Were they nominated this year?
Of course, yes. Yeah, and Martha's there. Martha told me that she couldn't be on our show tonight because she'll be at the Saturn Awards. This is before we knew what the news.
Yes.
But Martha will probably be here in the next coming weeks. If not next week, the week after, we'll have Martha right in the studio.
Yeah, and if you have a chance to, I would actually recommend going back. If you guys are listening, going back and listening. Martha said a lot of great stuff because you had her on season opener, season 2.
Sure.
She talks a lot about the business and a lot of stuff that's actually pertaining to what's going on with Hannibal right now. So go ahead and we'll get into that
when we have her on too as well, probably next week or the week after. Okay, that's it. Predictions.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Do not make me go first. I do not know.
Oh, Julia always goes first. Everyone knows that.
You had her go first last time.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Oh, I screwed up.
For the first time ever, I was let off the hook.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's because I was the noob. It was like,
all right, Julia, you can go first.
Well, I sort of said one of my predictions already that I think Will is going to sailing to Italy, so he can be the first one to get to Hannibal to warn him that this army is coming after him. Just due to that one little clip we saw in the previews for next week. But Delia and Hannibal were looking pretty comfortable, like maybe they were gonna do it.
No, they ain't gonna do it.
And I think we'll see more of Margot.
Is this your prediction? Hannibal gonna do it?
But I think Hannibal really just might do it.
All right, that's a good prediction.
Oh, you've had worse.
All right, I've had way worse. Dua?
Well, I think that I liked what you said earlier about Dr. Bloom now that she had the bone marrow in her blood. So now I think that we're going to see a completely different side to her. I think that something is going to open up and we're going to start to see this really just like dark, totally different person. And something about Crapweasel and Will, I think that there's going to be some type of manipulation or something going on there, but something is going to happen there as far as, you know, them manipulating Will to get information as to the whereabouts of something like that. Something to the, that's what I have now. This is still like
the hardest show in the world to predict.
And I call this like the seed episode. I feel like this episode was really like it wasn't as exciting because they were planting all of the seeds for stuff that they're going to be unveiling later. Right. So it's too early to tell.
A lot of info in this one.
I forgot to mention that zinger. I don't know if it's a zinger or not that Mason said to Bella about Mason said to Alana Bloom about Hannibal got deeper inside you than he did everyone else. That was that like a zing? Like
of course it was.
Okay,
she was digmatized.
Okay, that's right. She's digmatized. She got deeper, and then digmatized.
Love it.
And then transubstantiation.
Transubstantiation.
Transubstantiation. Is that eating yourself? Is that eating yourself? I don't know. I didn't look that up yet. And that's a new one on me. All right, prediction. I'm sorry. I kind of got convoluted on this whole thing, but I'm predicting that Jack actually is not only there to follow Will. He's there to help Will, or there to get Hannibal himself. I think Jack is also sort of, he's seen the light. He wants to take Hannibal down or bring him in, or maybe Jack wants to bring him in, and Hannibal and Will wants to kill him. I don't know, but I think Jack has some designs of his own.
Yeah, you know that there was a line in season 1 episode. I think it was like episode 4 or 5 or something, where Hannibal says to Will, you know, you entered a devil's partnership with Jack Crawford. And every single time I see them together now, I always think about that. Just like, when is like, and so that's always in the back of my mind.
The old devil's partnership.
The old devil's partnership.
I got it.
What is it?
All right. First definition is conversion of one substance into another.
Okay.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. I like it. The other, in many Christian churches, the doctrine holding that the bread and the wine of the Eucharist are transformed into the body and blood of Jesus, although their appearances remain the same. They talk a lot about religion.
Too. It's like when you do like body of Christ, blood of Christ, it then turns into, that's the transubstantiation.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Oh, I wish I'd known that sooner.
We can
That makes a lot of sense.
That makes a lot of sense. All right. Do a case. Oh, we also should mention Podcast One survey. We mention it every week. Go to Podcast One. Is it podcast1.com? There's a podcast survey there. It helps us all out. It takes about 30 seconds. Yeah. Not 30 seconds. It takes about a couple of minutes to tell us about how you feel about podcasts in general, and just give us a sense. We're doing. Yes. And don't forget to rate us on iTunes.
We love 5s.
Comment on YouTube, and we love all that stuff. And thank you for joining us in the live chat booth there. All you guys who were there, which my computer's down again, so I can't mention any of you. Where can the kids find you?
Hi, you can find me at DuaKaissi, DuaKaissi on the Twitters. And the petition to save Hannibal will be on my Twitter page. So that's at DuaKaissi on Twitters.
Perfect.
Julia, where can I find you?
You can find me on Instagram and on, Twitter. What's that thing? I'm on Twitter with my name, Julia Cearley, JuliaCearley.
And you can find me on Periscope, Twitter, and Instagram at Joe K. Braswell, Nefertiti, Tyler, MJ Kimball, Fanny P, Epic Teen, all you guys, the rest of you, thanks for joining us in live chat.
Thank you.
We'll see you all next week for episode 305, and enjoy your day. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.